Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. I am moving on in our Chakra Series, and this week we're talking about the throat chakra. So I have a pretty short episode today, just diving into a little bit about the throat chakra, how blockages and, stagnation show up here, and then how we can support it with mineral balancing and diet, nutrition, all of those things. So the throat chakra, just like it says, this is located around the throat, and this is associated with our communication, our creativity, speech, expression, speaking your truth, speaking your highest truth. This is all where this comes from. And when we're talking about what it looks like, if you might be experiencing some sort of block or maybe like stagnant energy here, you might find it difficult to express yourself. Maybe you feel like you can't speak your truth, or there's fear around judgment from others. You kind of hold back. The opposite of that would be an overactive throat chakra, too much energy here. And this is, literally the exact opposite of what I just said. So this is, you talk too much, right? You're talking over people. You kind of dominate the conversation. You aren't listening to others, and you can find yourself being really critical, overly critical and judgmental. That's what overactive looks like. And I find that this one is one, a lot of times this one is connected to a couple other ones. And I think, we talked about the heart chakra, and a lot of times there's connection here between the two. If there's some, first of all, we talked about how the energy needs to flow from one to the next, but I find a lot of times when my clients are dealing with blockages in the heart chakra, they find blockages here. Like it's blatant, like there's blatant blockages here too. And they find it hard to speak their truth. And so I find a lot of times we really have to work through both of these. We have to work through what's going on in the heart chakra. Sometimes it's the solar plexus and the heart. And it's things like, things we talked about last month in the heart chakra. Well, the last 2 months in the heart chakra and the solar plexus episodes, where we're looking at things like self-worth and worthiness and, self-love and self-identity, accepting yourself. And all of those things can really affect the throat chakra. And I've actually had quite a few clients over the past, the past year, that we've really worked through this center and the throat center, and these clients, actually all of them that, the few that I've had, that have had some real blockages here, and they were blatant. Like one of my clients, one of the things she wanted to work with me on while we were working through her journey was to quit smoking. And that is really one of the vices that shows up when the throat center is out of balance or it's blocked. And she, along with the few other clients that we've worked with this center, all of them were dealing with narcissistic relationships or healing from narcissistic relationships. They had either been in a relationship with someone narcissist, or they had it's like a family member, like a parent. And so they had been kind of working through that and healing from that. And through that process, they lost their voice, right? How to express themselves and express their truth. And they just lost their voice. And so there was some blatant issues with the throat chakra that we worked through. And this all goes back to what's going on in the heart center and the solar plexus, right? It's the love and the acceptance and all of those things. So it's all tied together. So with this particular chakra, as we're talking through all of these, right, they're all associated with a gland or an organ. And this one is associated with the thyroid. And the thyroid, as we've talked about, is responsible for several hormones that help regulate your
your metabolism and energy and growth and development and some immune function. And so these are a lot of times the physical things that are going to show up when there are blockages in the throat chakra. And the client that I was just mentioning as a reference, that was some of the things we were working with, her metabolism, how she was metabolizing food and breaking things down, and all of that was being affected. And so when we're looking at supporting the physical piece of the throat chakra, that's what we want to support, the thyroid gland. And when we're supporting the energy center, I love this because this is another one that just lines up just perfectly. So the throat chakra is associated with the color blue. And even though these aren't technically totally blue, I still feel like it applies because some of it is kind of that sea foam bluish green, but it's sea vegetables, right? Sea vegetables are high in iodine that support the thyroid. There are other foods like mint teas, like peppermint, spearmint, slippery elm. All of these nourish the throat. So we're nourishing the throat. We're nourishing the thyroid. All of those are going to be supportive for this energy center. And when we're looking at mineral balancing, supporting this energy center through mineral balancing, we're looking at supporting the thyroid gland, right? And I know we've talked about this numerous times, but I just want to recap and reiterate everything we've talked about so far. And as far as mineral balancing for the thyroid, the four main, I want to say there's probably five, but the four main minerals that we're looking at would be potassium, magnesium, selenium, and iodine. I would put manganese in this, and sometimes that's kind of an obscure one, and we don't talk about like where do you get your manganese from. But manganese is an important one for the thyroid because it does help with the conversion of thyroid hormone. But the bigger, like the heavy hitters, are potassium, magnesium, selenium, and iodine. Magnesium is required for some of that conversion as well. And magnesium, as we've talked about before, is responsible in so many functions in the body. So just in general, pretty much any gland we talk about, magnesium is going to be important. And potassium, we've talked about, I had a whole episode on potassium. So go check that out if you haven't listened to it. Potassium is responsible for our cells' sensitivity to the thyroid hormone and how efficient and effective we're using our thyroid hormone in the cells. And so when we're deficient in potassium, our cells aren't able to utilize the thyroid hormone as well. Selenium and iodine are both used in the formation of our thyroid hormones, and both of those are required for other things too. I mean, the iodine for sure, and the thyroid. Selenium, I love selenium just in general, even if we're not talking about the thyroid, because it's a really great antioxidant mineral, and it's good for healthy energy in the cells, the mitochondria, and just, fighting free radicals. Is just a great mineral either way. But all four of these, potassium, magnesium, selenium, and iodine, are going to be really important for the thyroid gland in supporting this center. And using that combination of what I talked about, the foods, right? The sea vegetables, those are all high in iodine, and things to support the throat. All of those are going to be supportive for this energy center. And then the other piece of that, as with all of them, when these blockages and signs that there could be some things going on in your throat center coming up, get curious about it, right? Journal it out, meditate on it, and kind of see where this is coming from. If you're experiencing things like nervousness, social anxiety, sometimes it can show up as like attention deficit disorders, or maybe feelings of isolation, feelings of just not being able to cope, like poor coping skills, right? Those can also show up as kind of an out of balance throat chakra. And I find a lot of times too, physical symptoms that show up, things like throat infections and sore throats and itchy throats and sinus irritation and dental issues, throat, just a sore throat, an itchy throat, a scratchy throat, all of those things having to do with your throat, your esophagus, all of those are signs that there's some imbalances, or there's some things going on with your throat chakra that might need to be addressed. And so again, when these types of things are coming up, I just encourage you to get curious about it. And again, meditation, prayer, journaling, all those things, just to kind of figure out, where is it coming from, right? Where are these blockages? Where are these imbalances coming from? Is there somewhere where you aren't allowing yourself to speak your truth? You're holding back. Is there somewhere where you're not allowing your creative expression to come out? So your creativity, we talked about the sacral center is your center for creativity, but this is how you express it. You express it through the throat chakra. So are you holding back your creative expression? Are you feeling like you're not understood, right? Are you holding back from speaking your highest truth? So what is it that you are holding yourself back from that's causing some blockages or some imbalances in this center? And then I encourage you also to dig a little deeper and look at your other centers. As I mentioned before, the heart chakra and the solar plexus are two that are really closely tied to this. And I find a lot of times when there's blockages here, we can go and find some places where we've blocked ourselves from those as well. So you can go back and listen to those and tie all the pieces together. That is their throat center, y'all. Hopefully this shed a little bit of light, maybe some insight on some things that you've been dealing with. We'll be back next month for the next. We have 2 more energy centers to go. So one next month and then the next. I will see y'all next time.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.